What's going on, guys? It's Logan, it's EJ. Welcome to SwampCast, baby. Man, one of the last podcasts for this football season. Crazy to think about. It's been a fun journey. We started, after week 5, I think. And we've been pushing ever since, man. So everyone that's been along with us for this awesome journey of the season, man, we really do appreciate it. But we have a lot of content that we're going to bring to you guys in the off season. That we're really excited to share. So definitely follow us on our Instagram, SwampCast Pod, and we will be posting all kind of updates there for every time we released in the off season. But EJ, how you doing, man? How's life in Cali, where you are? Obviously, LA got a lot going on there with the fires, but you're a lot more south of that.
Yeah, man. I am in San Diego, so we're safe and sound, but we're still, um, you know, praying for the people up there in the Palisades area, Santa Monica area in LA. Um, you know, it just, goes back to, no matter where you live, you always have to deal with something, as a product of the environment you live in, right? Like if you're in Florida, you got to deal with hurricanes. If you're in, um, North Carolina or South Carolina, it's a flood zone because you get the remnants of the hurricanes that hit Florida. And in California, it never rains out here. And the problem with that, I think we've gotten like maybe like a half an inch since last May, something
Golly,
like that.
Jesus.
And it'll rain like that in like one flash flood in Florida. You get that?
Yeah, that's an afternoon. That's
Yeah,
a
that's like,
yeah, that's an
and then
afternoon
the
here. We
sun,
got that
and then
yesterday.
yeah, you get that, and then the sun comes out, and it's a beautiful day. Um, so when it never rains, um, the ground and the trees and the forest are just they're just dry. And you spark one little, something, and that fire spreads really quickly. We also had these Santa Monica winds that kind of picked the fire up and took it across town. And next thing you know, the whole place is on fire. So if you can, just go to like American Red Cross and donate, give what you can to help some of these folks. A lot of people are displaced right now. I think everybody will be okay. We'll rebuild. But just a terrible tragedy, and hopefully everybody's okay.
Yeah, and I was just telling EJ, I know a lot of people that are affected directly by it, and it's really sad to see. So definitely prayers up for them. Um, but yeah, everything else going good over there, man. Cali, the
Everything's going
fog
good.
the fog is gone.
The fog is, well, yeah, it is gone. It
Yeah, there
hasn't
you
come
go.
back in like a week. Now, there's some conspiracy theories out there for our conspiracy theory followers that, the government creates the fog to see like, can they create fog against their enemy or something like that? Because I had a friend in Iowa, and I think they're next to a military base too. San Diego's a big military town.
Okay.
They were like, yeah, they got the fog over here too. So I don't know,
Hey,
man.
man.
We'll have to see. The conspiracy theories, they're out there.
Never know, bro. Maybe it's the aliens. No, we don't know, dude. We don't know, man. No,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's funny, bro. That's funny. Yeah, no fog down here in Florida. Just a lot of, for some reason we're getting the Arctic blast, dude. It's snowing up in Atlanta. That's crazy to see. I see all the places that I film, and it's like my house in Sweet Magnolia is just covered in snow right now. I'm like, what the hell? Meanwhile, it's like 37, 30, about like 40 degrees in where I am in Orlando. It's freezing, dude. I hate it. I need the heat. People are like, "Oh, I enjoy this." No, dude, I step outside and I just hate myself. So we definitely got to get the weather fixed here. Um, but like you were saying, wherever you are, dude, the weather is all over the place right now.
Yep.
But yeah, dude, semifinals just happened. It's crazy. It's weird to think that we've already gone through 3 different phases of the college football playoff at this point. It's unreal to think of.
Wow.
And yeah, and here we are now at the national championship next Monday. EJ, what do you think about these semis, man? We're going to go ahead and dive into them. I'm going to let you kind of take the reins on this first game. We have Notre Dame versus Penn State. Notre Dame was favored by 1.5. You picked Notre Dame to win and cover. I picked Penn State to win and cover. and Notre Dame gets the win, a big time win. I just closed all my tabs. Love that. But Notre Dame gets the win. I believe it was 27-24. One hell of a game, by the way, and probably should have gone into overtime, which is going to be a big discussion. EJ, tell me how you feel about this game, man.
Yo, yeah, I gotta hit him with the little luck of the Irish, luck of the Irish. Um, but yeah, man, I know I picked Notre Dame, but at the end of the day, this was flip of the coin who's gonna win this game, right? Um, this had to be these were two really, really well coached, solid football teams, and it almost somebody's got to lose, right? Um, when you look at the stats of this game, if you were to just look at the stat sheet and say, "Hey, here's the stat sheet," you wouldn't really be able to tell from the stat sheet who won the game, right? Because it was it was super even. Everything was even from kick return yardage to punt return yardage to yards per carry, yards per pass. Um, Both teams scored 3 touchdowns, but Notre Dame got one more field goal than Penn State did, and that was really the difference in the game. And also this concept of the middle eight, which a lot of people don't talk about it, but we've heard a couple of coaches bring it up. So what's the middle eight, people? It's the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. Who wins that? Because a lot of action actually happens in those 8 minutes. So, and in this game, what happened was Penn State jumped out to a 10-0 lead,
Something
and
that's
we're
been hurting the
thinking,
Florida Gators, by the way, and Billy Napier is that middle eight.
and in the off season, what we're gonna do, and I was thinking about doing this, I'm gonna do a personal analysis of the middle eight of the Billy Napier era, and we're gonna look at it because in this game, Notre Dame won the toss and deferred. And this is a big strategy that a lot of coaches have started to do now. Just like on the coin toss, believe it or not, I believe about 90% of teams will pick tails instead of heads because the math says that tails is 52%. It lands on tails 52% of the time. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like if you have is it a boy or a girl? 52% of the time, it's going to be a girl. So you go with tails. And most coaches now say defer because that gives them an opportunity to win the middle eight by guaranteeing that you're going to get the ball to start the second half. And based on how the first half plays out, you don't know. Maybe you get the ball last in the first half. Um, I remember a middle eight game, probably the best middle eight that we've ever in the last 5 years. We went on the road and damn, it was COVID year, and we played Ole Miss. And we were up 21-14. It was actually a back and forth game. In the first half, we were up 21-14, and then we had the ball late, and then bing, we got a touchdown, 28-14. Ole Miss couldn't do anything. We got the ball to start the second half. Bing, bang, boom. Kyle Pitts, touchdown. Now it's 35-14. And Ole Miss hasn't even gotten the ball back. So that's why the middle eight's so important. And in this game, Notre Dame was able to get a field goal late in the first half. Penn State really didn't have enough time to do anything. And then Notre Dame got the ball to start the second half, drew up a great opening drive, tied the game. And so that's 10 points without Penn State really even having a chance to respond.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a huge, huge strategy in the game. And that, to me, evening the game up right there, because Penn State had pretty much dominated the first half. They looked like the better team. Drew Aller looked like his ability to throw down the field was going to be the obvious advantage in this game for Penn State. The Penn State defense was stopping the run. Notre Dame really didn't have anything going. They were just trying to hold serve and keep the game within striking distance. But then when they got to that middle eight and was able to tie this game up, then it was any person's game. And then I think, lastly, in the second half, we started to see Notre Dame, who Notre Dame is. If Notre Dame, to beat this Notre Dame team, and there's one team out there that can probably do it, and they play them on the next game, you got to get a lead on them. Because if you get a big lead on them and force Riley Leonard and take away his ability to run and force him to try to have to throw it down the field, that's when you have the advantage. Because in this game, Penn State's pass rush was getting in almost immediately, and Notre Dame had to stay balanced to kind of keep them on their heels. And then we started to see Penn State's defense late in the game start to get a little bit tired because why? Because Notre Dame was allowed to they stayed close the whole game, and they had their whole playbook at their disposal, and that wore out the Penn State defense. When Penn State knows what's going on, they can just pass rush or drop guys and defend you. But this was unlike the other Penn State games where they were pretty much blowouts. I mean, the Boise State game, I guess, was close for a little bit, and then they hit them with the long run. But get Penn State tired, get them in the fourth quarter. That's how you win this game. And the intangibles always go to Notre Dame, even though they were sick with the flu. Half the team's injured. People are dropping like flies. Riley Leonard almost had a concussion.
Oh, he definitely did, bro. I don't care what they say. That dude, did you see him get up? He was like, where? He literally stumbled. Yeah, I was.
But how lucky is that? Where all that is going against you, and you still find a way to win. Crazy.
Unbelievable. I agree, man. It was wild to see. And you hit it exactly right, EJ. What Notre Dame's going to have to do in this Ohio State game is out physical Ohio State, which is very hard to do because in this game, Notre Dame was out physical Penn State at a lot of times in this game. On the front, in the secondary, they were aggressive, and except for Tyler Warren, that guy's an absolute missile at tight end for Penn State, dude. Dude's gonna be like the next Brock Bowers in the NFL. But yeah, they wore down this Penn State team like you were talking about, EJ. Penn State never got above, I don't think a 7-point lead. I think they might have had a 10-point lead early on. I'm not totally sure. I think they might have. But yeah,
they started 10-0, but then
Notre Dame tied.
They were able to tie it. Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. Because that middle eight, like you were talking about. Yeah, so they didn't get that. They didn't get that 3-score lead that they really needed to get, ahead of Notre Dame. So Notre Dame was like, all right, we're still in it, man. When you got Marcus Freeman on the sideline pumping you up, just listen to that guy talk to his team, man. You know that you're still in it and that you could play and win this game. And one thing that Notre Dame started doing is Notre Dame's the type of team that loves to run the ball, like I stated, but they love to take these deep shots. And in the first half of this game, they were not able to take these deep shots at a consistent rate. Later on in that second half, EJ, they started doing that, man. There was 3 to 4 times where they hit these big explosive plays down the field, that were, 20, 25 yards. The really big one at the end of the game that went for 45 to tie it late. They created these explosive plays. So then Penn State's like, oh shit, we got to work on our secondary. We got to back off a little bit. So then those linebackers back off a little bit, and then you open the hole up for your Love and the other guy, number 24, I think is what his number was, who played a pretty good game in this game. Let's see.
That's got to be.
I'm assuming it was Williams. I think it was Williams, and then Jadarian Price as well had a few good carries there. So when it opened up the run game for this team. Riley Leonard had a couple big runs at the end of this game toward the end of it. Where he got, these little 7-8 yard carries that were really taking a toll on this Penn State defense. So yeah, they just opened it up by throwing the ball down the field, running the football. And yeah, it's funny, EJ, I went back and rewatched this game, and when you rewatch it with the thought or the knowledge that you have now of how they, Drew Aller didn't complete a single ball to any receiver, it's actually insane. The secondary for Notre Dame, it doesn't make any sense. And they put 24 points on the board. And none of those is like a big, intercept pick six. No, they drove down the field on these drives. And it's just like, it doesn't make any sense. And when you go back and rewatch it, you see, man, this Notre Dame secondary is locked down, dude. They love their man-to-man defense. They're aggressive, and they are locked down. And yeah, Drew Aller, man, just number one, he didn't have a lot of time in the pocket. We saw multiple times, where Notre Dame was getting that pressure once again, being physical on that front seven, getting to Drew Aller. And this is my problem with the Penn State offense. They did do a better job running the football in this game. They ran the ball way more than they did against Boise State, which is why Boise State kept it close, because they didn't run the ball. In this game, I feel like they could have ran the ball even more. There was a lot of times, man, in this game where they could have. I mean, listen. In the first half, that's one thing, right? First half, you're still trying to get your playmakers. They got the ball in Tyler Warren's hands multiple times in that first half. Hit the running backs out of the backfield in the pass game, and they ran the ball a little bit, but they're still trying to take those shots downfield on what Penn State's known to be. Go back to that Oregon game where they were just throwing all over the field, man, getting everyone open. They know that's in them, so I'll let that go. But in the second half, where you're neck and neck and Notre Dame has momentum, it's like, why are you not trying to run the ball more, man? There was so many times. I get that they're trying to, Notre Dame started really kind of coming in, stacking the box a little bit, but you haven't completed a single pass to a receiver all game. And you're going to try to keep taking these, you're trying to drop back, this little 3-step drop, and let Drew Aller read the field. You're not going to be able to do that right now. Drew Aller was not in the right mindset this game. He only threw one interception on the stat line, which is at the very end, but he threw like 4 picks in this game that just got, called back because of penalties and holdings and stuff by Notre Dame. So, Drew Aller did not play a great game. I don't like the play calling once again in this game by Penn State. I do think, I will say this, they were very creative on getting the ball into the tight end's hands, the running backs out of the backfield. But, it just, I don't know. I feel like they could have relied on the run a little bit more instead of letting, Notre Dame kind of have this comeback in the second half and gain momentum. But yeah, EJ, we can kind of talk a little bit about this decision at the end of the game by Penn State to not take it to overtime. Yeah. Me and EJ have a different opinion on this. I will say this, EJ, the more that I thought about it, the more I kind of side with you in the sense of, why you driving down the field in 52 seconds, while you haven't made a single completion to any receiver, while you could just take a knee, go to go to overtime, and then start at the 25-yard line or at like the 2.5, 3-yard line for 2-point conversion. So here's I want to say my piece first. So I do agree with all of that I just stated. My issue is I still do believe that Ohio State had 3 timeouts or 2 timeouts, 2 to 3 timeouts, at the time that Penn State had the ball. So Penn State runs the ball to get the first down. They're like, okay, we're being aggressive. We're gonna, we're gonna go down the field. We're gonna try to get some points up on the board here, and win this game. And then you have Drew Aller. I don't know, because in my opinion, if you run the ball, 3 times in a row or take a knee 3 times in a row, and Ohio State calls their timeouts, depending on how I think they had 3. I'm not totally sure, but they definitely at least had 2. Then they at least have 13 seconds, 14 seconds to drive down the field from the, let's say, 35-yard line. And the way that Notre Dame was playing in this game, where they were taking those deep shots and completing them, that's why I was a little worried on. I don't like giving Notre Dame that ball back with that much time. You know what I'm saying? Especially with how our once again, how our secondary was playing up to that point. Now, if Penn State was, if Notre Dame didn't have 3 timeouts or 2 timeouts, then I would say yes. Like, take it to overtime. It's half and half, in this stadium, close to half and half. No team has one big advantage over the other. Just go in there and perform. But that's the one thing that I was just worried about, is since Notre Dame had, in my opinion, all the momentum in the second half, and especially in the fourth quarter. I'm not comfortable getting that out of my hands as a play caller and relying on my defense, which was struggling. But I also really understand the point of, dude, just try to take it to overtime. Trust your defense on 2 or 3 stops in the secondary. You know what I mean? And try to get a stop. EJ, go ahead and say your piece on it.
Well, I'm happy that you saw the light there toward the end. Uh, uh, yeah, man. I mean, honestly, it goes to your coaching philosophy. Like, I'm just putting myself in the shoes of if I was the coach, what I would have done. Um, and I think, if you look at the Ohio State game, even though that was the first half, they were in a very similar situation against Texas. Texas had just tied the game, and Ohio State had like, I forgot how much time they had. I want to say they had about the same amount of time, like a minute or something like that. And it's kind of like, okay, y'all haven't really driven the ball. If you try to force the ball down the field, you might throw an interception. So what do? They hit him with a screen with Travion Henderson and just say, hey, we don't expect you to, you know, go all the way. We just want to see how many yards we can get on this first play. And if we get on a very safe, risk averse play, and if we can get that, guess what? Then we'll be aggressive. But then Henderson took it all the way.
Crazy.
So in the game the previous night, it's 52 seconds left. Notre Dame just tied it up at 24. And the way that I saw it was Penn State is not an explosive offense. Even though you hit the nail on the head, they should have. Allen and who's the
Singleton.
other? Singleton. Both these guys, every time you gave it to them, they were 5 yards. It was at least 5 yards.
7, yeah, like 7 yards, I think, is what. Let me read off this real quick. Yeah, it was Singleton averaging 6 yards, Katron averaging 4.5.
So you have two running backs, a two-headed monster that's basically averaging 5 yards a carry. I don't understand why you didn't just give him the ball the whole time. You got kind of addicted to the pass. But anyway, back to this situation. To me, with 52 seconds left, my strategy would have been spread him out and hit him with a draw, and just see if Katron Allen or wait, who's it? I keep forgetting the other guys.
Singleton.
Singleton. He's probably the best one out of the two. Singleton and Allen. Just see if they can maybe get 10, 15 yards, because the defense is going to backpedal 8 guys, and when you hit them with a draw, you might get 15, 20 yards. I just thought being too aggressive with Aller, with a guy who had not completed a pass to a wide receiver the whole game, against Notre Dame, who's going to try to come after you with a pass rush, is too risky of a situation to put yourself in when you haven't proven the entire game that you can run a 2-minute drill offense. You've basically needed 8, 9 plays to get into scoring position the whole game. You have not popped off and bing, bang, boom, easy touchdown the entire game. And you haven't shown that potential against a Notre Dame defense that was a little bit worn down, but they had a little bit of fight in them, because they knew that, hey, it's a tie game. It's on us to win this thing. And so to me, I would have just been a little bit more risk averse and just thought to myself, okay, what's more likely to happen? Us to take an offense who hasn't done a 2-minute type of situation the whole game into scoring range, 50 yards down the field, or go to overtime and beat this team in overtime. Overtime, because guess what? In overtime, it's a whole new ball game. We got our defense. We got 5 sacks on them. They only have 1 sack on us. We can run. We get the ball at 25. Give it to Singleton and Allen. Guess what? They can't stop us. And Notre Dame, yeah, they got that touchdown, but our guy fell down. He had they put the Irish dust on his shoes. So now in overtime, Drew Aller time, baby. We could throw to the tight end all day in overtime. Because guess what? There's no game clock. We don't have to worry about the clock in overtime. And then guess what? If we go to triple overtime where they make us go for two every time, which is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, but since it's the rules, I go grown man with Katron Allen and the wild Nittany Lion. They ain't gonna stop that. So when you just made the decision to be aggressive, and the quarterback, the former quarterback, McElroy, yeah, I'll be aggressive all day. I was like, I hope they're not listening to this guy. But they listened to him, and guess what happened? Notre Dame got pressure. You decided to be aggressive, which meant you decided to take a risk. When you're aggressive, the definition of aggression in football is you're high risk. High risk is can be high reward, but it can also mean you throw an interception. And that was the how did the guy catch that? I was like, okay, I don't replay. It was a beautiful catch. It's like
Put him at
he got
receiver.
both hands under it. He was like, man, this is my pot of gold. I'm a fighting Irish. This is my pot of gold. I'm not dropping this. And what happened? Now they're in field goal range. So Penn State, I would not. I as soon as I saw, I was run it or take a knee because if you try to throw it, you are risking an interception. And it was like literally the first play. So I know people disagree with me, but hey, if I'm coaching that situation, that's what I would have done. And I think in overtime, Penn State had shown that they were probably the better team. I think they would have probably been able to get the job done.
What a bad read though by Aller. You know what I mean? He had pressure on him, like you said, EJ, and he
Yeah.
just tossed it up. By the way, the defender was running the route for the receiver, which Notre Dame was doing all night. Notre Dame was doing that the entire night. And the worst part is Andy Koltnicki, whatever his name is, the offensive coordinator for Penn State is going, hey, Drew, do not throw an interception. Whatever you do not throw a pick. We'll just go to overtime, worst case scenario. And he throws it was just a normal in route, like a 10-yard in, and he just tosses it up. And right when he threw it, you could see him go, oh no. And in real time, it's the funniest thing. Go rewatch it, and you just see him go, oh shit. And then, yeah, the defender, like you said, beautiful catch, man. Got his hands under it. It was an inch from hitting the ground, and it would have been incomplete, but he caught it beautifully. And yeah, man, just worst possible case scenario for Penn State. James
Yeah.
Franklin once again choking in a big moment. So,
Ate it for him.
I mean, think about it. Everyone's like, oh, he's winning big games. Well, if you look back on it, he lost against Oregon in the Big Ten championship, so he still hasn't won the Big Ten championship. I think didn't he? Wait, I think he might have won one year. Didn't he win the Big Ten championship in like
No,
no?
never won it.
Because he was in one. That's what it was. He was in one back in like 2015 when he like first came in. I think when like Barkley was at running back or something. But yeah, that's crazy. So then he loses, and then he wins against SMU, a team that no one thought should have been in the playoff anyway, and then wins against Boise State, another team that did not deserve to get a bye. So it's like, did he really win a big? I mean, I don't know, man. Like you were talking about, EJ, he wins against teams that are less talented than him, but when he plays teams that he's even with talent or that they have more talent than him, he always loses. I don't think he's ever won. It's an insane stat to look at. Happened again
Yeah.
here.
That man, that and I know we're not Penn. This is not a Penn State channel, so if you're a Nittany Lion fan, you could agree or disagree with us. But yeah, there's. I think James Franklin is a really good coach. I remember 2013. I wasn't at that game, but he took Vanderbilt to the swamp and he beat us. Now that was our year. We were 4-8 when they were saying it's great to be a 4-8, and I was like, I punched someone in the freaking mouth for saying that. But anyway, he beat us because he and in Vanderbilt you beat teams that were more talented than you. So why couldn't you do it at Penn State? So I just think he still has a very old school type of team, and they look similar to Michigan in terms of their style. They want to have great defense and have a powerful offense that is hard to get off the field, but they still have not, like you saw with Ohio State, how they got the sack, strip, scoop, and score. Penn State will stop you, but they will not change the game in a big time with the defense. And maybe that's what he needs to invest in. I think he probably should invest in an offense that can put points on the board, have a little bit more offensive efficiency in terms of points per play type of team. But yeah, man. I had a couple of notes from this game that I wrote down. So Notre Dame is 3-0 against the Big Ten this year. Uh-oh, Ohio State. What does that mean? Notre Dame, they lead all FBS teams in ranked wins this year with 7.
Mm.
Uh-oh. Also, here's another fun fact. Notre Dame, they beat back-to-back AP top 5 teams uh for the first time since 1988. Okay, a lot of people weren't alive in 1988. You've never seen it happen. You've never seen it happen. Marcus Freeman. We love this guy. 14 ranked wins in his first 3 seasons at Notre Dame.
God.
That's what's that? I hate math, but that's
You
4
said 14
a year.
Yeah, 14 divided by 3.
Yeah,
You're looking about
yeah.
4 a year.
That's
4
like
and a half.
4.5 ranked wins a year. And people say Notre Dame they don't play anybody. Riley Leonard, 43 rushing touchdowns. Is that in his career? Third quarter, 40,
Yeah.
43rd of the season. Are you kidding me? That
What?
can't be right. Is the 43rd rushing score of the season for Notre? Sorry.
Oh, okay.
For the whole team. So 43. Sorry, I wrote it wrong.
I was like, we got a Tim Tebow. It's Tim
40,
Tebow of the Independence.
43 rushing touchdowns for Notre Dame is a team record. Okay, so there you go. And then here's the luck that I wrote down, and the luck of the Irish. To win a championship, you got to get lucky, and their best players: Riley Leonard, Jeremiah Love, Emil Wagner, Xavier Watts, Bo Collins, all have 15 starts this season. That's a team record. And the thing is, to win a championship, you can't get injured. And I know people, well, injuries are part of the game, and you got to have depth to win. Well, guys, the NIL has made it so that teams are not 3 and 4 deep anymore. Teams are only 2 deep now. And so if you get one of your 2 deep guys injured, you're pretty much screwed, because now you got to bring somebody in who doesn't know the playbook. They were on 3 other teams, so they get the playbooks mixed up, and they come in and they don't know what's going on. So, but Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman, he uses the portal primarily for the quarterback position, but a majority of his other players have been recruited, and they don't bring in a lot of portal guys relative to some of these other teams like Ohio State. So maybe that's why they're playing so well. They know the playbook really well. So those are just some fun facts I wrote down for Notre Dame. Great win.
Huge win, man. Yeah, that's hell yeah, man. Good for the Irish. We're gonna see how that goes, like you said, the national championship, which we'll get to in a bit. Next one we have Ohio State, which was Oh, by the way, before we dive into Ohio State and Texas, I just want to say, I remember when I was like, bro, you know what? I'm gonna jump on the Penn State bandwagon. I've hated this team. I thought they've been trash. Drew Aller was trash, but you know what? They've been playing good. Let me just put all my eggs into the Penn State basket, and then they just become classic Penn State again and don't complete a single pass to a receiver. Love to see it. Next one we have Ohio State versus Texas. in the Cotton Bowl. Ohio State favored by 5.5. We both pick Ohio State to win and cover, and Ohio State does win and cover with a 28-14 win. This game was a lot closer than what this score shows. It should have been tied, and it probably should have gone into overtime. This was such a fascinating game to watch because it was a defensive chess match. In the sense of in my opinion, both defenses played best when they played zone defense. Ohio State, for example, looked dominant when in their zone defense, man. But then right when they would switch to man, you have these wheel routes that got them. You have these one-on-one matchups that Quinn Ewers really, really liked. But then you go to Texas as well. Texas played a lot of zone defense, and I watched this game from the Skycam command center point of view, which is my favorite way to watch a game because you can actually see the play unfold in front of you instead of watching it from the side. I don't know why we watch from the side anyway, because you can't see because then it zooms in on the quarterback. It's like, dude, what's going on down the field? We can't even see it. So we got to fix that. It's terrible. But I watched the command center, so it's the Skycam looking out from the quarterback's POV, and dude, right from the get-go, Will Howard was not reading these underneath defenders. It almost looked like I was watching DJ Lagway in his sense of that he reads high to low. So these dropping linebackers in zone, he's not seeing those by the time he makes his decision. And I was waiting for an interception. He got so lucky with so many of these passes in zone defense, in zone coverage. And I was like, Will Howard's going to throw a pick here. And then, what? I don't know, like 6-7 drives in. I think it was started the second half, I believe. He throws the interception because he tried to hit Jeremiah Love on a curl route. Linebacker drops back right into coverage, intercepts it. But there was one play very early on where it went straight through the linebacker's hands, like in the first quarter. And I was like, I've never seen a ball go straight through someone's hands before, and it was barely tipped, and the ball still be a spiral after. It was, it's like, I see why you're playing defense. Can't catch a ball. But yeah, Will Howard just was all over the place. He cannot read zone defense to save his life in this game. Whenever Texas went to man-to-man, Will Howard, because he had pressure on him a lot in this game, he was like, all right, bet, pressure's on me. What matchup do I like? I like that throw here. And Texas defense, man, they were really bracketing Jeremiah Smith. There's pictures of like 3 guys bracketing. It's 2 corners and a safety over top. And even when they didn't have 2 corners on him, they always had a defender or a cornerback DB, and then they had a safety over top, man. So they were bracketing Jeremiah Smith like crazy. We're not letting him go out. So even when they were playing man-to-man, that he was not getting open at all. So big props to this Texas defense for that. Really good game plan by them. But I don't know why they didn't play more zone defense, because like I said, Will Howard had these moments, especially late in the game, where he got a lot of momentum, and it's because they, for some reason, were switching to more man-to-man. And like Texas was getting a lot of pressure on Will Howard in this game. Both quarterbacks had a lot of pressure on him. And it's so much easier when you have pressure on you to find a one-on-one matchup that you like and toss it up. Quinn Ewers on the other side. This dude, I will say this, at least Will Howard has better pocket presence because, dude, Quinn Ewers multiple times, like, once again, I'm watching from the quarterback's POV. This dude goes into the pressure. He steps. He has no pocket presence at all. This is why I don't think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback because, dude, there was, like, I think they had 3 sacks in this game. And there was, like, 2 plays in particular where Quinn Ewers drops back. Dude, has like a wide open lane to his left, steps up into the pocket straight into the big ass defensive lineman from Ohio State, probably like 6'5", 320. And it's like, you're not getting out of that. So Quinn Ewers, his pocket presence was really, really bad. But yeah, this was really the battle of what team takes advantage, what offense takes advantage of the defense playing man coverage at certain times. And really there wasn't a big winner in this game. It was neck and neck though. And I guess we could talk about it now. It should have been 21-21. It's 14-21. Texas is first and goal because Ohio State in penalties, and it's first and goal now. And instead of running the ball straight up the middle at the 1 yard, the half-yard line, it wasn't like the half-yard line, the 1 yard line, they do a toss sweep to the left side of the field, And Ohio State's like, I bet the defensive end blows up that tackle right away if you go back and watch it. And then these linebackers, because this is a very well coached Jim Knowles defense, they fly to the ball. They don't second guess. They don't hesitate like we've seen a lot of other defenses, and they fly in and push them back 8 yards. So now it's 3rd and goal from the 8. Nothing happens, and now it's 4th and goal from the 8. Quinn Ewer steps back, and you got big number 33 come around the corner. Their former roommates at Ohio State. Sack him, strip sack, ball bounces right to him, runs it back. Ohio State wins. One of the most insane games you will ever see. One of the most insane endings you'll ever see. It went from, hey, this is going to be a tied game at the 1 yard line to Texas is down by 2 scores with 2 minutes left. Unbelievable. Like I said, really fun to watch these defenses play against each other and try to see these quarterbacks figure it out. Texas, once again, no run game. No run game at all. Their main running back, Wisner, 17 carries, 46 yards. That's not even 3 yards a carry. Jaden Blue had 4 yards a carry, but only 4 carries. That happened in moments where they just caught Ohio State off guard, kind of dropping back in the zone like I was talking about. But yeah, Texas not able to get a run game going. And like I stated in the prediction that we did last week, and EJ talked about it too, when you look at Texas this entire year, when they're able to run the football, they're able to be effective. That's part of Sarkisian's offense. And guess what? They were not able to run the ball in this game at all. And that's what really led to this loss by them and the lack of offensive production. EJ, what do you think about it, man? What was your reaction to it? Let's hear it.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. So I texted Logan before this game. I was like, I got a feeling. Because I was like, Texas, I think y'all are going to have a good plan for Ohio State. And if it's one team out there that can give them a run, it's Texas. And the thing is, the thing I realized in this game was that one question you always have to ask, who's got the better defense? Who got the better quarterback? That was kind of close to me in this game. I was kind of like, Ewers or Howard? Because how good is Howard given the fact that he's just surrounded by, he's got 3 NFL receivers. The guy's got an NFL offensive line. He's got great running backs. He's a good quarterback. Ewers, he's got his best receiver, I think, is a freshman. Golden. Isn't Golden a true freshman?
Well, Isaiah Bond, I would say, is probably.
Oh, Bond's pretty good.
But he was hurt, though. He's been hurt.
He's been hurt. Yeah. So the thing is, Texas had a much smaller margin for error in this game. So that meant it came down to coaching, meaning Texas could ill afford to make the most mistakes in the game, the most miscues, the most missed tackles. They can ill afford that because Ohio State, from an efficiency standpoint, is always fewer plays away from touchdown than Texas. And so if you're Texas, it's kind of like Notre Dame. You cannot give up anything. And Ohio State, when you go back and you look at how they win games, they pummel you early. And they came out with a lot of energy in this game. You know, when you have a really talented team that's really deep, you play with high energy in the first 10 minutes of the game and you see if you can knock the other team out. And they started to do that to Texas, but they couldn't get the lead bigger than 7-0. Then Texas came back, hit him with that wheel route. Blue. See him blue.
Caught him in man coverage.
Man cut. Hit him with the touchdown. Ewers hit him with the sauce. 7-7. I'm thinking to myself, it's a game now. It's a game now, boys. Game on. Dallas, rise up. But then But then the very next play, Texas, you give up the screen pass for a 75, the guy's only catch. And you had to know that was coming. You drop out in a covered 10, whatever defense that was. It was like you were returning a punt instead of trying to play defense. And what happens? They throw the screen pass to Henderson, who's a pretty good little running back, and he's got the whole offense. Nobody even. Where was the defensive line? The offensive line was running down the field like freaking I don't even know. It was just like the Great Wall of Ohio running down the field,
Terrifying.
blocking everything. And I'm thinking to myself, he's about to take this all the way. If this Joker takes it all the way, it's game over. It's game. You cannot. You can Texas. The whole state of Texas. I just saw a picture. They said, how big is Texas? They put Texas over Europe. It took up like 3/4 of Europe. And they said, that's how big Texas is. You mean to tell me that whole state, y'all couldn't figure out that you needed to stop that screen pass? That was the difference in the game. That was the difference in the game. That's why Ohio State's always one play away from just taking the roof off. Then you fought back. You made it 14-14. Neither team could run it. Neither team could run it. When I'm looking at these stats here, um, 82 for Ohio State, 58 for Texas. Man, 58. Texas. You gotta do something. You gotta do something better than that, Texas. Yeah, I mean, 58 yards rushing. You don't want to win. You don't want to win. Here's the thing. It Even after all of that, you gave up the touchdown. Okay, now you got to dig yourself out of that hole. You made it 21-14. Basically no time. You got it down there, the 1 yard line. The refs were helping you out. The ref said, oh, okay, Texas, pass interference, holding. We'll we'll pull a Kansas City, LA Rams on
It
you.
was crazy, man. It was crazy. One flag after the next.
Yeah, yeah. Flag them. Ref, throw a flag on the play. Okay, Texas, you got a chance. Then what happened? Sark, you called up Billy Napier and you asked him what play call do you run first and goal from the 1 yard line. Well, you ran it up the middle, you got stoned. And here's what I don't understand. Yeah, you got stoned. Run that Joker 3 times in a row from the 1 yard line. Let me tell you something, people, football players, coaches, everybody, I don't care who you are. If you're in the national Final Four in a football, I don't care what league this is, you're at the 1 yard line. If you get stoned on the first play and then you get cold, well, we can't run it on them. Let's do a soft ass toss to the outside against a defense that's way faster than anybody we got on our whole team. You already lost when you made that decision. Grown man, line up and Superman into the end zone. Wisner, put him in the wild Longhorn. Bevo, you can call it Bevo. I never thought that thing was that big. That thing is huge. Wild Bevo. Put him in the shotgun and Superman in. And I'm telling you, you would have scored. I don't care if they stop you once and they stop you twice. Guess what? I got 2 more plays. And if they stop me twice, they stop me 4 times from the goal line, pack our bags in our Louis Vuitton suitcases and go back to Austin because we didn't want to win. We didn't deserve it. I'm almost positive they wouldn't have stopped you 4 times in a row. But what'd you do? What'd you do? What'd you do? You got cold feet and you tossed it to Wisner. They ate him up like, I just saw this video of a lion chasing this little Bambi looking thing. That's basically what that was. They chewed him up, and then what'd you do? Well, now we got to throw it. Okay, you're going to throw it against a team that gets instant pressure with three guys. They sacked you with a three-man rush. So now you got to throw it. You get sacked, and now you got to throw it again. What happened? What was bound to happen the whole game? Ewers holding that ball like a loaf of bread out there. His roommate probably knew what he was going to do and said, I know exactly where this ball is going to be. He told me when we were in the dorm room 4 years ago. And guess what? Sack, strip, scoop, score. Game over. Sark. Superman. That's the play call. So, when I saw that, I was like, even though y'all would have made it 21-21, you put Ohio State in the same situation that Penn State was in. Are they going to take it to overtime, or are they going to try to get greedy? Are they going to try to be aggressive? Jeremiah Smith, we were carding him the whole game. So you couldn't get it to that situation. Now when people look at the final score, oh, Texas, they didn't have a chance to beat Ohio State. I was like, the stats were basically even. Ohio State, you had 30 more yards. If you didn't get that 75-yard touchdown screen pass, you would have gotten outgained. So this was just, it came down to those two plays, in my opinion. The screen pass, and then Sark deciding, instead of me recruiting an offensive line and manning up and going Bevo at the goal line. I don't care if they're good on defense. Forget that. Superman. No, you went Robin. You got stoned. You got stoned.
Which, by the way, both those plays are Texas's fault. Both of them. From a play calling standpoint.
From a play calling standpoint, Sarkisian, how much are they paying you? Now, I get it. People will say, well, if he would have scored there, no one would have been complaining. Yeah, but dude, if you would have did grown man football 4 times in a row and they would have stopped you, people would have just said, you know what? Give it to Ohio State. They deserve to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have criticized your play call.
Yep.
But when you do a high-risk play with a defense that's got a bunch of dogs on it, you don't deserve to win. So that's my piece there.
And you're 100% right, man. 100% right. It's one of the worst play calls I've ever seen. Everyone's been saying that. Very reminiscent of the Super Bowl between Seahawks and Patriots. Got Marshawn Lynch in there. 1 yard line, not running it. You know what I mean? Throw it and it gets picked off.
Why didn't they tush push?
Tush push, yeah.
Tush push.
Yep. Unreal, dude. Get Jalen Hurts back there and push that, man. Unbelievable. Yeah, crazy game, man. Like you said, really should have been an overtime game. Maybe would have been on the last drive, but been down to Will Howard. And with the way that Texas was playing, just play his own defense. You make him make these tight throws. So, yeah. One of my favorite games from a standpoint of just very calculated all the way around. And we talked about this, EJ, last week. We both said, Ohio State, can they keep up this momentum for long? And I told you, EJ, and you texted me before the game. You're like, I don't know if they can keep it up. I don't know if they can. They looked unstoppable these past 2 weeks. But go back to the regular season. They were rough, man. You know what I mean? And they've had and they had bad games. They also had games or like a stretch of games where they had a lot of momentum, like they had in these past few games. And I was like, can Chip Kelly keep it up? Because he's had some pretty bad games play calling. Can Ohio State keep up not throwing any interceptions or having any fumbles or playing very clean football? Can they keep doing that? Because in Michigan, they fumbled the ball, or they had 3 turnovers inside their own 20 or inside the 20-yard line of Michigan. Yep. So that's the reason they lost that game. So can they keep that up? And in this game, no, it went back to Ohio State looked vulnerable again, which kind of leads us to a really fun national championship now, EJ,
Woo!
between Notre Dame and Ohio State. Um, so I was thinking, and we should have talked about this before the podcast, EJ, but I'm thinking we predict the game now, even though we have our podcast next Sunday. So then we can have an instant reaction sometime next week during the weekdays, and then get that out on the YouTube. So I'm thinking that's the best way to go about it, because I would hate to do another podcast on Sunday, wait another week to do our reaction to the game. You know what I'm saying? Which, by the way, why are we playing the national championship games on Monday nights is the dumbest idea ever. I don't know who did it. I don't know why ESPN does it. Make it on a Saturday night. I don't care if UFC's going on. I don't care if there's a playoff in NFL. I guarantee we get more views than them. Come on, dude. Unbelievable. I hate it. And it ruins everyone's schedule, counting ours, but whatever. Also, people have stuff to do. They have work. They gotta wake up the next day. You know what I mean? Having to watch a game that starts at like 8 o'clock, go to 11:30, and then you gotta go to work the next day and wake up at 5 in the morning. God, dude. I mean, Starbucks is gonna get some good production and good demand that day, but golly. Um, so yeah, DJ, you want to dive into this national championship game?
Yeah, man, this is a you hit the nail on the head. I mean, Ohio State got hot for a couple of games, and we know they could do that. And they pummel you early. But you go back and you look at some of who are you really, Ohio State? Are you a team that pummels everyone? Or are you a team that is more talented than everyone you play, but you just don't quite put it together? And you keep the other teams in the game. I remember there was, you had 3 games in a row. You lost to Oregon, then you played Nebraska. That could have been anybody's game. You barely won that one. Then you played Penn State. Now you did go on the road and play Penn State. Uh, but that was a game that was decently evenly matched. I never got a feeling Penn State was going to win the game. Uh, but they could have. So when you look at this matchup, what is this going to come down to? This is going to come down to uh, uh, our man, Marcus Freeman, calling up Sharon Moore at Michigan and saying, "Hey, Coach Moore, let me ask you something, buddy. We're both blue and gold, except Notre Dame. We got green. We throw that on every now and then. How'd you do it? What do you do to beat this team?" And Sharon Moore is going to say, "Well, one thing you got to do is you got to have athletes on defense to shake them, get them shook. And if you don't have athletes on defense, and you're playing Ohio State, just wave the white flag." So Notre Dame, check. You got athletes on defense. Number 2, you cannot allow them to run the football for more than 4 yards a carry. Now, Ohio State, I don't know if this is a true statement or not. I got to go back and look at all the records. Wait, let me look at their Oregon game real quick here. Um, oh, okay. I was going to say Ohio State is undefeated when they rush the ball for more than 4 yards a carry, but they ran it for 4.3 against Oregon earlier in the year and lost. But they should have won that game. They lost because they had 2 turnovers. They fumbled it twice. But you go back and you look at this game. It's going to come down to, can Notre Dame stop the Ohio State run? If you can stop the run, which is very tough to do because you basically have to do it with your front four. Because the way Ohio State plays, they're going to spread you out. And then you can, maybe your front five, maybe you can devote a middle linebacker. You got to stop their run. If you can stop their run and you put pressure on uh what's a majigger? Will Howard to make pressure throws against max coverage. That's how you do it. Go back and watch the Michigan game, people. If he has to throw the ball into coverage where you have to like read and there's two guys, one guy's dropping, two guys are on you, and I have to make the right decision, Ohio State's offense is not effective. When they run the ball on you, and then you have to bring 6, 7 guys into the box, and you've got one-on-one coverage, you're there's no way you're beating Ohio State because Will Howard, all he has to do is just throw it up there. All he has to do, Jeremiah, where are you? Oh, I don't even know where you are. I'm just gonna throw blindfold and throw it up, and you're gonna catch it. Touchdown, game over. Texas, you had the ingredients. You had the ingredients. You stopped the run with your front four, and you devoted secondary to make Will Howard have to think when he throws it. Notre Dame's got the ability to do that. But what does Notre Dame also have that Texas didn't have? A stone cold commitment to the run. Why? Well, Riley Leonard's not Tom Brady out there. He's more like Tim Tebow. Run that ball, baby. Now, I would be much more confident if this was Penn State's running attack. But the thing that worries me about Notre Dame is Ohio State's defense can win them this game. They can shut down the run. And so, what Notre Dame is going to have to do in this game, they are going to have to throw to run. Now, what does that mean? You can't start this game shotgun 3 wide, hand off the Love, and think he's going to do anything. They're going to drag him down like a lion who hasn't eaten in 2 weeks. Okay? You're going to have to play action and dump off and see if that tight end can get you 3 or 4 yards. And you're going to have to put Love as a tight end. Play action, dump it to him. See if he can get. Keep Ohio State thinking that you're attacking the outsides so that well, maybe we got to go out here. And then, pow, hit them in the middle. Keep the ball out of their hands. You got to keep your defense fresh. Your margin for error is 0. Also, Notre Dame, number 1 turnover differential in the nation. You get lucky turnovers. The ball bounces off the rainbow into the pot of gold. You got to get turnovers. If you can do that and keep this game close, you got a chance. That's the game plan. Now, I'm telling you what I would do if I was Notre Dame. I told you what I would do if I was Georgia, and look what they did. They did the complete opposite. And what happened? They got skull dragged. So this game could go either way. It could go Notre Dame is smart, and I think Marcus Freeman is smart, and he's going to come up with some game plan. You got to fake a punt, too. Like, let's say they stop you in your first drive. You get to the 40-yard line. Oh, yeah, let's punt it. We're punting. Fake it. I'm telling you, you got to fake a punt, or Riley Leonard, practice your punting. What I would do is I would line him up at quarterback and say, hey, we're going to go for this. And instead of going for it, he does a pooch kick. That would be a great play. I'd love to see that. Kyle Trask did it. So that's what I would do. It's going to be an interesting game. I hold my pick for now, but that's the game plan. If Notre Dame can stick with stopping the run and throw to open up your run, you got a chance. If you don't do that, you try to run it straight ahead, and then you're 3rd and 12. game over.
There you go. Yeah, I totally agree. Um, this is going to be a defensive game. I think 100%. It's going to be very similar to this Texas and Ohio State kind of game, right? Where it should be 14-14, maybe 21-14, fourth quarter. The teams are fighting down the field. Every play is going to count. Every yard is going to count. And something you brought up, EJ, is every turnover is going to count. Now, I think the story of this game is going to be this Ohio State offense versus this Notre Dame defense. Here's the thing about Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman's a defensive mastermind up there with Kirby Smart. A guy who I think came from Cincinnati, came to Notre Dame with Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly leaves, he gets upgraded to a head coaching position. This guy has had a great, aggressive defense. And what I love about his defenses, EJ, is that they play man coverage, bro. They're like athlete to athlete, they don't care. Problem with that is you can't do that against Ohio State. You can't play man-to-man the whole game against Ohio State. You can't do it. You can't even play 50-50 against Ohio State. Because guess what? Even if you get pressure because this Ohio State offensive line does have some injuries and does have some holes in it, and if you can get pressure on Will Howard in a man coverage, it's not going to matter because Will Howard's going to know where he's going with the ball pre-snap. He's a smart guy. He's high. He's played a lot of football. He knows man coverage because you don't have to read the field, really. You can just pick your, see what side the safety's going to. Be like, okay, this is the matchup I want over here. Let's go to that. And whenever you play man coverage against Jeremiah Smith, it's never pretty. It is never pretty. Even if you bracket the guy, he's slippery. He is a generational talent. And something that he has... Ryan Williams, another great freshman receiver, right? We have a lot of great future wide receivers in this sport. But this guy has size. Jeremiah Smith's like 6'3", bro. He's huge. He's huge, and he has this like slippery, light on his feet, just like an NFL. The NFL's already looking at this guy foaming at the mouth, right? They cannot wait to snatch him up. And so you can't play man-to-man the whole game, and so you're going to have to play zone. So what I'm very interested to see is Notre Dame is not going to play the majority of the time too much zone. They're gonna implement their man coverage because that's the majority of what their defense is built on. So what I'm very interested to see is, will Ohio State and Chip Kelly take advantage of those man-to-man coverage moments like they did against Texas? If they can take advantage of those moments, hit some deep shots, really mess up this Notre Dame defense and then run the ball with TreVeyon Henderson, it's going to be a long, long day for this Irish defense because they're going to be guessing, all right, wait, we can't play man here. Do we play zone here? What do we do? They're running the ball. They're passing on us. Where's number 4 at? They're not going to know what's going on. What you want to do early on is play zone. If you want to play man-to-man, 65% of the time, 60% of the time, you can do that. Just put that later in the game, right? You have to disrupt Will Howard's confidence early in this game. You have to. And the way to do that's play zone coverage. And as we saw in that Texas game, he was not consistent against zone coverage. He got so lucky with so many passes. And this is an even bigger stage. Just a national championship in Atlanta, Georgia, baby. It's going to be rowdy.
ATL.
And ATL, baby. My second city. And so Will Howard, one thing I've realized, does not do well against when he's under pressure. It's very interesting. You could just tell he feels it. And this season you've seen that. You saw it at Kansas State a little bit too, but really at Ohio State. And maybe it's because the pressure on Ohio State being like, you need to win a national championship this year. You need to do it. And now that he's this close to it, now that Ryan Day is this close to it, now that Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles are this close to winning a national championship, is that going to eat him alive? Are they going to persevere? It's going to be interesting. And I'm telling you, this Ohio State offense versus Notre Dame defense is going to be the story of the game. Now, let's talk about Notre Dame's offense versus Ohio State defense, man. This is one of the best defenses that Notre Dame's faced all year. They did play well against a very good Penn State defense, but this Ohio State defense is dirty, man. They're nasty. And you got Jim Knowles calling plays, a guy that could be a head coach right now somewhere. He knows leadership. He's a great, great coach, been everywhere, knows defenses. And you have Riley Leonard, a guy that almost threw the game away against Penn State. Remember that really late interception? Horrible throw. What are you doing? You have a dropping guy, try to get over him, did not work out.
Never saw him. Didn't see him.
Didn't see him. Yeah, exactly. And he even talks about it. He's like, dude, I didn't win this game. My defense did. My team did, because I pretty much almost threw this game away. And he's on a bigger stage now against a better defense, in my opinion, a better secondary, in my opinion. And can you be consistent throwing the football is my question to Riley Leonard. And because like you talked about, EJ, go back to this Notre Dame and Penn State game. The only times that Notre Dame was able to drive the ball down the field is when they hit these deep shots. So number one, can they give Riley Leonard enough time in the pocket to take these deep shots? And number two, can you get open on this Ohio State secondary? Because this Ohio State secondary is one of the best in the country. I mean, Caleb Downs is out there blowing guys up, always knows his assignment. The way that they play him is very, very unique. He's like a strong safety, but they place him in the nickel position sometimes. He sometimes plays like a linebacker type of position. It's a very weird defense to see, which is why I love watching them play. And Jim Knowles is just, his play calling, man, his design, it's something like we haven't seen in a while in college football. And I love that the way that they use Caleb Downs. So if you're Riley Leonard, before each play, you better know where number two is. You better be pointing out, okay, there he is, right there. Let me throw the ball over here, not toward him. Because he's like a Reggie Nelson out there. This dude's flying everywhere. You don't know where he's even coming from. It's like he just spawns there and, just swats the ball, has a pass breakup, destroys guys. That'd be just hard hitting. So it's not only Ohio State offense versus Notre Dame defense, but also Riley Leonard against this Ohio State defense. And I think the big key that I wrote down here, because I wrote a key for each offense and each defense in this game. My key for Notre Dame's offense is no turnovers. If you're Riley Leonard, I would rather you only throw for 80 yards in this game and not throw a turnover, because at least you're giving your defense a chance, against Will Howard and being a very close game. And so it's going to be interesting, and it sucks for Notre Dame because the injuries, and of course, you have Love back there at the running back position who's battling injuries. So can he be healthy is the big question. We know he's not going to be 100%. So that really sucks if you're Notre Dame, because you want to rely on that. And the backups aren't really that great. So, that's going to be a big thing to look at. So the odds are stacked up against Notre Dame, and the spread shows that. I don't know if you've seen the spread yet, EJ, but you know what I like to use? I like to use FanDuel. FanDuel has Ohio State favored by 8.5. Which is unbelievable. That's for a national championship game compared to these other games. Think about semifinals is 1.5 and 5.5. Now we have an 8.5. So Las Vegas loves Ohio State. They love Ryan Day, and it's in my opinion, it's gonna be one of the games of the year. And it might not be a Miami versus Iowa State, in the Cheez-It Bowl where it's 28-28 halftime, right? But it is going to be a defensive battle. It's going to be taking advantage of opportunities, and I think that's what football is all about, baby. There's going to be one hell of a football game. Yeah, EJ, I don't have anything else to say, man. This is just I'm just so interested to see the game plan coming into this game. Obviously, the weather won't have any effect. It's that we were in a dome, so that doesn't have any effect. We'll be 50-50. It's just going to be the question here is, do you have a Notre Dame team? Like the storylines is what I love about this game. Number one, the helmets. Ohio State, Notre Dame, two of the most iconic helmets in college football, the most history in college football. So you have Notre Dame, a team that lost against Northern Illinois week 2 for the college football season. Everyone doubted them. Everyone's like, this team is terrible. Riley Leonard's not a good quarterback. They fight back and just destroy every team in sight. And then you have Ohio State, a team that people were calling for Ryan Day's job just like a month and a half ago. And now he's led this team to a national championship. Can he get it done? Preseason people saying if Ryan Day doesn't win the national championship this year, he's fired. Here we are. He's in the national championship. Can he win is a big question. So both teams have such an interesting storyline. It's going to make for an amazing game. EJ, what else do you have to say before we make our picks?
Man, another, storyline to this game. Marcus Freeman. Does anyone know where he played college football? Ohio
Ohio
State
State. There you go.
Buckeyes. How does that feel, man? Like, let's say like I'm coaching, I'm making millions, and now I gotta coach against the Gators. Your alma mater for the national championship. Ryan Day. Ryan Day, Urban Meyer disciple, 2005, 20 years ago. This was a 25-year-old graduate assistant on the Florida Gators
Oh, I didn't know that.
football team. Yeah,
Whoa.
that's how Urban Meyer and him first met. There, he was on our staff in 2005.
Wow.
Urban Meyer's first year. 25 years old at that time. 20 years later, the guy's 70 and 10. 70 and 10. And what do you have to take away from this season if you're Ohio State and you don't win this game? That's the question. You didn't beat Michigan. You didn't win the Big Ten championship. You won a few playoff games. They give you the trophy. I can't stand it when they give you the trophies after the end of these bowl games anymore. Well, now we're going to do the trophy ceremony for the Orange Bowl. Well, now we're going to do the trophy ceremony for the Cotton Bowl. Well, now we're going to do the trophy. I'm like, guys, that's like the NFL playoffs. They give you a trophy after every playoff win. No, you win and move on. But I guess the sponsors, they gotta get their, the Orange Bowl would like to thank both teams.
Yep.
So I guess you got to get it out there. But that's the ultimate storyline. Marcus Freeman coaching against his alma mater, people. Ryan Day coaching maybe for his job. Who knows? You don't win this game, they're going to run you out of Columbus, which wouldn't make any sense to me because who the hell would want that job? Maybe they'll bring Urban Meyer back. So the last keys that I'll just say for Notre Dame, Ohio State, I think it's pretty easy. Get off to a fast start, pummel them early, and do what you do. Blitz your tails off and leave one-on-one coverage. Listen, if I'm Ohio State, this is really easy. 8-man front, man-to-man. I don't even care if it's man-to-man on those wide receivers. If Riley Leonard can throw the ball on me, hey, we deserve to lose. But one damn thing they're not going to do is run it on us. We're going to stuff them. It's going to be Thanksgiving 2.0. Hey, Caleb Downs, get out there and cause havoc. That's why they named that position, havoc. Just get out there and just F shit up. Mm-hmm. That's what you do. Number 33, your hair's on fire. What do? Forrest Gump 'em. Now, offense. I think you got to start rolling. You roll Will Howard out and throw on the run. And then what's going to happen? Notre Dame's going to say, well, now we got to stop that. I guess our game plan's through the roof. And then what do? You hit them with a run. And then what do? Deep bomb. Game over. Now, Notre Dame, your game plan. Show love. I don't even care if he gets stuffed on the first carry. You got to go to Love, and if you can get Love to 80 rushing yards in this game, that's the key. And don't abandon it. Give it to Love. Leonard, 17. That's my jersey number. That's the max number of passes you're gonna do in this game. If I look at this stat sheet and I see Ryan Leonard threw the ball more than 17 times, game over. You probably lost by 20. Notre Dame defense. Jeremiah Smith, less than 50 yards receiving. I don't care how many times he catches it. Less than 50 yards. You can do it. You could do it. You held Penn State. Nobody even caught the ball once. You mean to tell me you can't hold this guy to 50 yards? And now I know he's like King Kong out there when they throw him the ball, but you got to sandwich him. You got to stop him. 50 yards minimum. Hold the Ohio State rushing attack to 100 yards. Hold him to 100 yards, less than 4 yards a carry. That's the key. Now, with all that said and done, it just seems like seems like it's just, I know what I got to do, but it's like, man, that's a lot for me to do. I don't think I can do it. Ohio State is going to win this game. Now, I'm going to be rooting for Notre Dame because let me tell you something. I like the green and gold. Maybe if they wore the green jerseys, I'll change my pick at the end. But they're not going to wear the green jerseys. When you don't wear the green jerseys, I don't pick you. You wore the green jerseys when you came to Tallahassee that year. I went to that game. I forgot. Tyrone Willingham was the coach. And you came down, you wore the green jerseys. You won in Tallahassee. You weren't favored. You're not going to do it. I don't believe you're going to do it. Under Armour. I don't know how you got Under Armour. You should have Nike. Anyway, that's my pick. Ohio State. Let me give you the score. I think this game's going to be close. Now, a lot of people are going to say, Ohio State's going to blow them out. It's Notre Dame. And I'm like, where have you been the last 5 years? So, Ohio State, you don't need that much to score. Can you believe that you beat Tennessee, Oregon, and Texas all in a row? It's murderous row out there. Just to get to this moment. You spent $25 million. They're going to do a salary cap soon. You spent $25 million. I got to give it to Ohio State. I think the Buckeyes are going to get this thing done. I'm going to go Ohio State 29-22. It's going to be a funky game. Field goal, safeties, ball bouncing off a goalpost into a leprechaun's basket of gold. Lucky Charms. But Ohio State, you spent the money. I like spending money. You spent the money. You're going to get it done.
So Notre Dame covers. They cover the 8.5.
Notre Dame covers because it's a touchdown win for Ohio State. There you go.
There you go. Good pick. Good pick. I think this will be a really close game as well. I also have Notre Dame covering. I have the final score being 24-16, Ohio State.
Whoa.
So here's my thing though. It's just like on paper, it's Ohio State's going to destroy Notre Dame, right? If you just look at stats and the matchups, and it's like I honestly cannot picture Riley Leonard driving down the field multiple times on this Ohio State defense at this level. But like you were stating, EJ, I could see Ohio State making a few mistakes. I could see them having a turnover or two, putting Notre Dame in a great position. And that's why I have Notre Dame at 16, maybe a couple field goals in there, right? 3 field goals, whatever it is, to get them to that 16 mark, and they get some points out of turnovers just because, they want to get some points off of it and hope the momentum shifts their way. But I just can't see Notre Dame because they play that man coverage. I can't see them stopping. Is it Ibuka? And you have Jeremiah Smith.
Oh.
Can you stop those two guys? They're both NFL receivers. Can you stop those two guys down the field consistently? I don't think so. But I do think that Marcus Freeman is going to have his guys ready. I know Marcus Freeman will have his guys ready. That's one of my favorite coaches in the league. I love his style, his aggressiveness, his physicality. his mindset of leading these young guys to a national championship, this culture change they've had since Brian Kelly has been out, nobody's mentioning that. It's drastic. No more fake country accents. They're serious. They're here to win a national championship.
Yes, they're physical
They're
too. They can actually take a hit.
Exactly. And I think you're going to see that in this game. You're not, because think about Brian Kelly. Remember all the times he'd go to the playoff, he'd get destroyed, blown out. Remember the national championship? Yeah.
My family's here.
They would just get destroyed. And that you're going to see in this game that this is not the same Notre Dame program with Marcus Freeman at the helm. I think they take the loss because of injuries, right, as well. Jeremiah Love will not. I don't think he'll reach that 80 yards in total mark just because he's hurt, man. You know, I really do. I think it's a really good number. I will say that. But I do like he's not 100%, man. And I think you're going to see that in this game. You're going to see you're going to see Notre Dame kind of fall apart late. Maybe they have a final drive to go for 2 to try to, tie the game late, but you see that Riley Leonard can't rely on the passing, and he needs to have that run game, and you're going to see that. I will say this, Notre Dame could win this game, 100%. Notre Dame can surprise. I want Notre Dame to win. I hate Ohio State. I wanted Ohio State to make the national championship just for Ryan Day's sake of like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, I feel bad for the guy. They're saying like they're going to fire him just because he can't win a national championship every year. But now that he's here, he's fine. He'll keep his job. I want Notre Dame to go. I want them to defy all odds. I hate both these teams. I hate the Final Four. I don't like any of those teams. Penn State, Ohio State, Texas. I hate them all. But I am cheering for Notre Dame here. I think Notre Dame will cover, but I think Ohio State will get the win. Like I said, 24-16. There you go,
Notre
baby.
Dame, we're rooting for you.
Dude, I'm going to be sitting there with my Lucky Charms, no milk, just straight out of the bag. You know what I mean? I'm going to put on my leprechaun outfit, dude. I'm going to be ready to go.
Rudy. We're going to both go watch Rudy.
Facts.
Just to give us something to believe in.
Yep.
Play like a champion today.
Yep. We're gonna go watch the Rudy movie. We're gonna go watch that national championship between Florida and Ohio State back in, what was it, 2006? Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, when we shocked the world, nobody believed in us. That's gonna happen. Hey, it's very reminiscent of this game. No one's giving Notre Dame a shot, EJ. No one's giving him a shot.
And I thought about that after they beat Penn State. I was like, because I was thinking Ohio State's going to win against Texas, but I was like, back in the day, they didn't give us a chance against Ohio State. They said, Florida's not a real team. The SEC is not good. Ohio State has the Heisman Trophy winner. They're going to win it. And then what happened? Opening kickoff. Ted Gin, dry gin. I like gin, by the way. Bombay Sapphire and Hendrix. But they threw it to Gin. He runs it back. I had to take off work to watch this game. And I'm like, did I take off work to watch us get destroyed in the national championship game? And then what happened? Urban Meyer said, buckle up. I hate this team. Well, actually, I like them because I'm going to go coach them after 2 years after this. But I'm going to win this game. Dallas Baker, touchdown maker, baby.
Yes, sir.
But hey, Notre Dame, if you show us some life how is Notre Dame going to win this game? You have to, number one, avoid getting pummeled early and show us some fight in the first quarter. If this game goes in the second quarter and it's tied, or maybe Notre Dame has the lead, SpaghettiOs. But man, you're right. No one gave us a chance. We won it, but we'll have to see. I can't wait for this game.
There you go. Gonna be one hell of a game, man. Cannot wait. We'll be back with you guys. Like I said, we might come back like next like Tuesday or something, and just do a quick reaction. So make sure you guys subscribe, hit that little bell so you're notified when we do post and upload, so you guys can see our instant reaction to that game. Gonna be awesome. Notre Dame pull through. Sorry, Ohio State fans watching this. You guys, we talked about it. We talked about it, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
We
Uh,
picked you to win. We picked you
we
to
do.
win.
We do think you guys are gonna win. We do think you guys are
Yeah.
gonna win. Um, but yeah, there you guys go. EJ, I know Gator basketball, man. Big win over Arkansas
Woo-hoo.
here, man. I watched a little bit of that second half. The refs were terrible from what I don't know if they were like that the whole game or what, but I watched about 10 minutes of the second half. Refs were horrendous. Clayton is kind of in a weird drought, it seems like, right? I was watching a little bit of him. Does not seem fluid. Um, you've obviously seen the games in totality, though. How do you feel about these past few games that we've had? And with this Arkansas win, and now we have another really tough game coming up to kind of end this streak of games, correct?
So, yeah, I don't know if Clayton's got. So, one thing that's affecting a lot of teams in all sports right now is the flu. Everybody's got the flu. I'm like, okay, get your flu shots. Like, you're on a team, you can't get the flu. If you get the flu, you're screwed. You can't play. So, get your flu shot if you're playing sports, getting in an airplane every 5 minutes. Anyway, man, I love this team. I love this basketball team. Uh, the thing is about this team, you go back and you look at what are the characteristics of national championship basketball teams in basketball? Offensive efficiency, defensive efficiency. You got to have both. You got to be able to play multiple different styles of games and win in multiple different types of ways. Just like in football, where it's evened out with NIL, basketball is even worse. Basketball is like you're coaching a whole new team every year. And in basketball, um, when you think about offense, most teams have like two guys, maybe three, that are your primary scoring, that do all the scoring. If you can have a team where you've got an entire starting lineup that can of guys that can score, that goes back to our national championship teams back to back. All five guys average double points, double figures. It's hard to defend a team like that. Um, Also, if you are a team that shoots threes and you play a team that can defend the three, you're not going to win. If you're a team that can only do post play and you play a team that can block your shots, you're not going to win. So you have to be able to do everything. And Florida, you look at these first three games, man, they're showing you they can win different types of ways. Kentucky's a high flying, high scoring team. Scored 106 points. We scored 100. The ball bounces one way or the other. Maybe we win. Tennessee, they were the number one team. They were great on defense, but guess what? We bully balled them. And then this Arkansas team, John Calipari gets all these talented players. They couldn't score at the rim. They were 2 out of 12 on layups in the game. What that means is we have good defense around the rim. So I really like this team. My favorite player, I've been saying this since last year. Thomas Houck, number 10. He comes off the bench. This guy is like, he's incredible. As soon as he comes in the game, he's like the Energizer Bunny out there. He jumps through the roof. He gets every rebound. And he kind of reminds me of me. Like when I used to play basketball at intramurals at UF, I'm not like a guy that's going to like dribble through the legs and, Steph Curry everybody. But I was going to rebound. I was going to play defense. I was going to throw the ball when I needed to. I was going to get a layup if I'm wide open. And that's Houck. I'm like, this guy he's great. He can defend all five positions. This guy's great. He's the glue. Condon, the Australian stallion, domination down low. These two guys, they're incredible. And they've just gotten better since last year. obviously Walter Clayton Jr. I think Walter Clayton, like I said, he must have like the flu or something, like some kind of cold or something, because he's been a little bit off. Now, the first game of now, well, no. The Kentucky game, yeah, the first SEC game, he scored 33 points. So he was great. The last two games, he must have had like the flu or something. I don't know. He hasn't been himself. But I don't think that's gonna last. Elijah Martin, incredible player. But we got an 8-man rotation. Chinyelu's Ben Wallace for us. Aberdeen is incredible. So this is a really good team. They play Missouri to start, I think Tuesday night, and the game comes on at 9 Eastern, which is kind of late for y'all because I know y'all in Florida, y'all be trying to go to sleep early. Y'all aren't like New York.
Yeah, no, 9's crazy. 9 is actually insane.
Yeah, but we need Logan. We need Logan to at least turn the game, even
Oh
if you're
yeah.
not watching.
Oh yeah.
Just turn the game on because it's good luck when you have the game on, and all of a sudden we start making shots.
Missouri looks decent. I mean, 13-3 on the year.
Missouri. This is the crazy thing about. So Missouri was 0-18 last year in the SEC.
Oh my
0
god.
and 18. And now this year they beat Kansas, who was ranked number 1. They I think they just beat Vanderbilt. I think they just
Yep.
beat Vanderbilt. But they're a good team. So there's no days the SEC in basketball. Man, I've never seen anything like it. We got like 5 top 5 teams.
Well, and Missouri's 3 losses all came to ranked teams. So you got Memphis to start off the year. You then have Illinois, number 13 Illinois, and then number 2 Auburn. But they got a win over LSU and Vanderbilt, 2 SEC teams in a row. They get the win over, and then they come to the O'Connell Center.
The SEC is all about. It's all going to be about like in college football. Home field advantage is very strong. It's real, but in basketball, it is just home court advantage is usually worth like 6 or 7 points. But this year in the SEC, I think it's worth like 10 points. So like if we would have played Arkansas in Gainesville, we would have won by 18. But you play them there, you win by 8. So that's the advantage. If we were playing this game in Missouri, I'd be like, uh-oh, the Tigers might strike. But we're playing in Gainesville. You have to defend the home. You have to win your home games. And then the road games, if you can go 500 in your road games, that would be elite. So we're already 1-1 on the road. So can we keep that up and then win all your home games? You should be on track to get a good seed in the tournament and hopefully win a championship.
There you go. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking at the games that we have left on the year, man. We go through a crazy, crazy stretch toward the end in SEC play. Yeah. I mean, you got Tennessee, you got Auburn, you got Mississippi State, you got Oklahoma, Texas, and then the final 3 games, you got Texas A&M, Alabama, Ole Miss.
And look, all these teams are ranked.
All ranked.
All these teams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of your last 8. They're all they're ranked. Well, Oklahoma might drop out because they lost. That's the thing. You lose to other ranked teams, and all of a sudden you drop. That's something that I want to know why that happens. Because let's say in football, and Josh Pate brings this point up, and I was like, thank you for saying this because I've been thinking this my whole life, but no one listens to me. They listen to you because you have 1 million followers. So, listen, if I'm the number 10 ranked team in the nation and I play the number 7 and the number 6 and I lose to both of them, doesn't that mean I'm still the number 10 team? So that means I'm better than 11 below me and below. But why am I dropping? Because I lost to the teams that are ranked ahead of me. I never understood that, but I guess that's what happens. So, yeah, I never got that.
Doesn't make any sense. No, it literally doesn't make any sense. Unless you like get like blown out by both, and it just like you could tell there's a big differential, I guess. But I agree, it's a joke. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man. So fun season ahead. How are you? Any less confident in this team? Are you more confident in this team? Give me your thoughts now from before we started SEC play.
So the narrative for, and this is what I hate about the experts, but the narrative about our team in basketball was, well, Florida's not good because they hadn't played anybody. And I'm like, well, hell, we play the same teams every year. We play the same teams every year. And we were undefeated. So anytime you're doing something well, because last year we lost 3 games in the non-conference. This year we went undefeated. No one said we didn't play anyone last year, but because we were undefeated and ranked high, people have to figure out a way to discredit you by saying you didn't play anybody. So I think now the mentality for our team should be we have to prove ourselves. And we got a tough, everyone in the SEC has a tough schedule, but we have a really tough schedule on the road. Ideally, you want all your tough games at home and all the easy games on the road in the SEC. But, or I mean, like the highest ranked teams you play at home and then the lower ranked teams you play on the road.
Right.
But it's kind of like the reverse for us this year. In basketball, you play 3 teams twice, and then you play 12 teams once, 6 of them at home, 6 of them on the road. The 6 road games that we have where we only play the team once are Alabama, Kentucky, Auburn, Mississippi State, and that's like 4 top 10 teams right there that we have to play on the road. So to me, okay, can we win 1, 2 of those? So my impression of this team is we're really, really good because we're very balanced. We can shoot from 3. If that's not going, we can drive it to the hole. If that's not going, we offensive rebound. This is the best rebounding team we've had since our national championship teams. They out rebound everyone, and rebounding in basketball is almost like, for our football fans out there, it's almost like third down defense. Like if you have a good third down defense, you get the ball back you stop the other team from scoring and you get the ball back to your team. When you can rebound in basketball, it's the same thing. You you prevent the other team from scoring and you give your team the chance to score. So you're reversing the point turnarounds. Because like let's say you can't rebound, you're not a good rebounding team, you're giving the other team multiple chances to possess the ball and score and taking away chances for you to possess the ball and score. So this team rebounds better than they out rebound everyone by 10 rebounds, 20
Woo.
rebounds. And we had 55 rebounds to Tennessee's 38. That's
Jesus.
how you get blown out in a game. You get out I've never seen that. A number 1 team getting out rebounded by almost 20 rebounds. And think about that. That's one possession that we have that we can score, we missed a shot, we get it, we can score, and that's one less possession that the other team can score. So that's how you get a 30 point margin. So we rebound the ball really well. And Walter Clayton Jr. The thing about Walter Clayton Jr. is he's not a true point guard. He's a true 2 guard, kind of like Steph Curry. Steph Curry is not a point guard, but he's been forced to play the point. Kind of like Walter Clayton Jr. That's where he's probably not scoring as many points as he probably could if we had a true point guard and he was the 2 guard. But he's making it work, doing what he can. He's a sensational player. It's really tough this year in basketball because it's going to come down to teams and coaches who just can revamp every year. And you're going to be coaching. That's why Billy Donovan left, because he was like, I'm used to coaching a team and developing them through multiple years. I do that in the NBA now because everyone has a 4-year contract. And I'm going to coach at least the same team multiple years. You're not going to do that in college basketball anymore. College basketball, 80% of your team is going to hit the portal. So if you can bring back 3 guys like we did this year, I think we brought back 5 guys that were on the team last year, which is unheard of. If you can bring back multiple guys from the previous year and then bring in some portal guys to complement their experience, that's I think that's why we're good this year. Um, some teams that take a long time to figure things out are teams that are just completely new, you know. Um, so yeah, I think we can go far. It's a tough SEC schedule. Um, if we can go, what I told people, we can go 9-0 at home, which we should be able to do, and 4-5 on the road. Um, that'll be with 13-5 in the SEC. I think that's a top 2 seed in the tournament. And if you're a top 2 seed, you're exponentially high probability of moving on.
Right.
Um, and that's a 1 game better than what we were last year, because last year we were 8-1 at home, 3-6 on the road. So if you can go 1 game better in both of those than what we were last year, and we're a better team, but the thing is, the SEC is much better. So if we can do that, I think we got a really good chance. Um, we got some tough road games against Auburn and Alabama. Those teams are incredible. And one more thing. I love the Alabama coach, Nate Oates. I love that guy. Like that guy's such a good, like, you know how I just said about Texas. Grown man, Superman from the goal line. Okay. That's how you score. Like, that's literally Nate Oates thinking. Like, Nate Oates at Alabama, and Todd Golden, our coach, is very similar to that. He's like, let's be logical here. He's going to get guys that can shoot the 3 wide open, and he just does math. He just says, okay, if we can make 23s in it, or well, we're not going to make 23s, but if we can make 13 threes in a game and then rebound the hell out of the ball and dunk it under the basket, hell, we're going to score 80 points. And then we're just going to come down here and D up. Can anybody score more than 80 on us? I don't think so. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to street ball these clowns. That's how we're going to win. And I'm telling you, it's a beautiful thing to watch. Now, Todd Golden, though, when we play Alabama, now we have to play them in Alabama, and these referees in the SEC are a joke. You breathe and it's a foul. I'm like,
it was bad.
Are you kidding me? They fouled out 3 of our players yesterday. How are you fouling out 3 players in a game? I've never seen that before. Like, are you kidding me? Refs, you guys gotta do something. And I saw another game where you breathed and it was a foul too. It was ridiculous. But anyway, when we play Alabama, if we get a chance to play them on a neutral court, I'm telling you, we blew them out twice last year because they could not. Their strategy of shooting threes didn't work because we defended the 3, and when you shoot it against us, you're not going to rebound. You're not going to get the second chance point on us because we were going to rebound. So that fell apart against us. So I'm interested to see if we can do the same thing against Alabama. But Alabama, they made the Final Four last year. They're a really good team. I love Nate Oates. He was a math teacher. Like, he was a middle school math teacher. This guy, I'm telling you, really good. But I think Todd Golden, let's see what he can do. I got it.
Let's see. Yeah, Bama destroyed my bracket last year, so I can't stand it. Uh, the March Madness bracket's always fun to do. We did it for Sweet Magnolias because we were filming season 4,
Oh,
and
nice,
so like the whole
nice.
the whole crew did it, bro. It was crazy. I got like
Who
last place. I don't want to talk
do you
about it.
know? Do you know who won it?
Uh oh man, it was one of our grips. It was one of our grips. So one of the crew members took it, not cast. Um and yeah, he did a really good job, man. He
Oh
actually was
wow.
really good with some of the upsets and took it to the end. I was pretty much out right away, dude. I don't know basketball. I was just going off of like I think this team will do it. And Bama, I was like, yeah, there's no way Bama makes it all the way because like you were talking about, we had them twice. And I was like, I don't know, I feel about it. And then they just started coasting. Yeah, their offense was insane. Their offense was unreal. I watched some of the games, man, last year, and they were a fun team to watch. But yeah, no, dude, they destroyed my bracket, so I don't want to talk about it. But is what it is. But yeah, no, I love that, man. Very excited to see what happens to Gator basketball. EJ, of course, we'll keep you guys all updated on what goes on our Instagram out there. So yeah, appreciate y'all watching. EJ, anything else you want to mention to the crew out there? I just saw that Marcus Freeman, uh, the Bears are looking toward Marcus Freeman as the head coach. Um,
Ooh.
so that's a very interesting thing at the moment.
Yeah, I'm a Bears fan, everybody. We're desperate. We're very, very desperate. Marcus Freeman would make, let me tell you something. That guy would make an excellent NFL coach if he wanted to do it, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Because he's a player's, you got to be a player's coach and be a really good coach, like know the game. And I mean, when they did that thing on Georgia where they did the whole swap out the whole team and make Georgia offsides, and then Kirby Smart's like,
Crying.
I didn't know they could do that. Yes, yeah, we could do it. I'm telling you, it was a master class of coaching. So if he wanted to coach in the NFL, I would do it. I would definitely not go to the Bears, though. I would definitely not
Well,
go to the
you guys are
Bears.
building new facilities, right? I think you are.
So they said, okay, well, we're going to build a stadium out in the suburbs.
Yeah.
But I kind of don't like that because it's like the stadium. If you've ever been to Chicago, the stadium is like in the South Loop, like in downtown. So it's a great location, but they want to build it out in the suburbs where it's going to be like the Miami Gardens, like the Miami
Mm,
Gardens. It's going to be a situation like that where it's
right.
like next to nothing.
Right. Right.
So I'm like, I hate that stadium. And then when I went to that Orange Bowl, Florida versus Virginia,
Okay.
okay, we won the game. We did it great. It should have been that close. But it was like $150 for an Uber. And I was like,
Jeez.
I never seen $150 for an Uber, but it was that much because it's like someone has to drive in the middle of nowhere to come get you.
Right. Right. Yeah,
Like
that's true.
you've been to that stadium
Oh
before.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's crazy. Yeah. I also too think about all the people that like have I don't know. Like you have a neighborhood in the suburbs and you have a big ass stadium right outside your window and it's like the traffic, the tourists, you know what I mean, the events. Yeah, keep it in downtown, man. Keep it wherever all the crazy stuff is going on. Leave the poor suburbs. Leave the old people in their homes alone. Um but yeah, crazy. We'll see what happens. Very interested to see what happens there. Nothing really going on in the Gator world. So we'll just see kind of
What about the quarterback who left? Purdy, remember?
Purdy.
So we got a quarterback transfer
Was it the guy from Charlotte?
from Charlotte.
He left?
And so now there were some reports coming out that he he wants to get out of his agreement to come to Florida. And so to me, I was kind of like, okay, why are you trying to leave? Well, no one knows. Some people are saying, well, he thought he was going to start over DJ Lagway.
Mm,
No, there's no way he thought he was going to
no.
start over DJ Lagway. Maybe it was it to me probably what happened is he went to Florida to be a backup. He knew he was going to Florida to be a backup. He probably got a good little NIL deal. But then somebody else is now saying, "Oh no, you can come here and get an NIL deal and maybe start." So it's kind of like when you make the decision to go somewhere nowadays, it's not binding. Because even like Dallas Wilson, who I'm not mad that we got him, but he signed a contract with Oregon, basically. Well, it's not really a contract, but he signed to go there. Then when he said, "Well, I don't want to go there anymore because it's too far and my parents can't come visit me, and now I want to go to UF," now you can just get out of your deal. So it's kind of weird to me that that's the situation, and that'll be a topic for another podcast because it's kind of like college football used to be about um, players who really wanted to play for their school, who was close to home. And I remember Florida State. We had all the talent in the state. We were dominating. Now it's not really a players. You can't really root for players anymore. Like you
Mm-mm.
can't really buy a jersey for like all the people that bought the Carson Beck jerseys. They're burning the Carson Beck jerseys because he's transferred. Now he's going to be playing at Miami and making more money than half the NFL quarterbacks.
Right.
So it's like, well, should a Miami fan be a Carson Beck fan? Well, I guess so, since he can't go anywhere after that. Maybe that's how you become a fan of a player. If you know his eligibility's done, maybe you can be a fan of him
Right.
now.
Right. I looked up that article you were talking about, and yeah, he re-entered the transfer portal yesterday, which is really interesting. And he said that there's no or ill will. It's just weird because yeah, it says Billy Napier never promised him the starting job, and it was weird when we got him because this guy had 1,800 total yards last season. Over 1,000, I think like 1,100 passing, and then the rest rushing, 700 rush, whatever. Um, a guy that could start anywhere at like a smaller
Yeah.
school, like at a Mountain West school at whatever. And he comes up to the SEC. I thought that was weird for him just to be a backup to a very, very young DJ Lagway as a true sophomore. So I thought that was weird, but I thought maybe he might come in and try to get some work under the. I don't know. Very weird to see. He's a young guy though, so best of luck to him. But yeah, man, it has to be something with an NIL. Someone just talking to him behind the scenes, which I feel like should be illegal. But I don't know. We need to figure the NIL, which we've listen. If you guys want to go listen to our thoughts about that, we really dive deep into it like 3 weeks ago, I think. So if you go to our videos on our main podcast episodes, you'll see it in the title. And we dive super deep into how it should be structured, how a transfer portal should be structured, and how we can avoid situations like this. That's really annoying.
Yeah.
But
So now we've got we did get a defensive back from UAB
yeah,
recently. Wait, what's the guy's name? Adrian Maddox. So that's good. We need depth. So but now we need a backup quarterback to DJ Lagway. So I mean, I guess we got Tramel Jones, I guess, is a true freshman. He's coming in.
yeah,
Um, is he going to be the backup to DJ Lagway or and
gonna
that's the
have to.
thing. In the portal, it used to be old school. It used to be we had multiple quarterbacks and we had depth. Now all the good quarterbacks want to be starters. Y'all ain't going to be starters everywhere. So what do you do? Do you just have a true freshman as your backup? Because the true freshman really can't go anywhere. So maybe that's the future, like what we had this year. We have a returning and then we have a true freshman DJ. Maybe we just have to have a true freshman quarterback.
Hate that.
It's weird though, because it's not, yeah. I mean, but what else are we gonna do? I mean, we gotta bring in we have to have three quarterbacks,
Yeah.
unless you're gonna have Warner out there.
Hey man, he might take a step, dude. He might be the next Tebow. Give him 15. Uh, Yeah, dude. I don't know. I like you said, we got to get some. There's another transfer portal, section coming up, and we might bring this guy back. You never know. That's happened multiple times. But he might just want to see what other options are out there because might be dropping bags on him. No telling. So I'm sure we'll pick up someone, probably like an Aiden Warner guy from like Yale or like one of those schools, to bring him in as like just a nice third stringer behind our freshman quarterback coming in, and of course DJ Lagway. But yeah, it will be really interesting going forward for sure.
Yeah, the Texas A&M quarterback, Marcel Reed, we need somebody like that. Like, okay, forget it. I don't even need you to throw. Can I snap it to you and you run? Like,
Right.
I would rather us have somebody like that with our O-line and running backs, and then somebody that can be athletic on the perimeter and dump it off than somebody who is a statue back there. So if we can, maybe Travell Jones can be that guy, but yeah, we're gonna need somebody to back up DJ because he comes out there next year pretending like his hamstring is injuries back. Then and you have Aiden Warner out there. It's like look at the schedule.
Yeah.
Look at the schedule, people.
Not easy.
It's crazy. So you need a good quarterback backup.
Yep. So portal's gonna be where we need to hit it. We'll see what happens there. Yeah, we're going after a new North Carolina State DB, so we'll see what we get out of that. We just reached out to him a few days ago for a visit,
right.
So that's nice. We'll take that. It's the North Carolina State defenses have always been very physical, very aggressive, man coverage, crazy. So yeah, one of my favorite ACC teams out there just because their physicality on defense. So it'll be fun to see. EJ, any last words to all the people out there?
Like, subscribe, give us your thoughts on the national championship game. I know Ohio State fans are going to not be happy that we didn't pick them. Hey, if there's a Notre Dame fan out there and you think your team's going to win, let us hear about it.
Yes.
But we want you to win. Notre Dame, Lucky Charms, we want you to win. Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this. This shirt's like 20 years old. So guess what? We want Notre Dame to win. Ohio State, baby.
See what happens, man. Love y'all. Stay safe. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you're notified every single time we post. Follow us on our Instagram. We'll see you next week.
Peace.